Good morning and welcome to Purpose Driven Finances, where our focus is helping you use your finances to achieve the purpose and plan for your life. And now here's the host of Purpose Driven Finances, Allan Molina with Serwus Capital Management.
Hey, good morning. This is Allan Molina, your host of Purpose Driven Finances and president of Serwus Capital Management. Hope you're having a great weekend. I know I am. It's a glorious day. I'm so excited about the weather warming up. Anybody want to help volunteer to help me mow the grass? Text me, 434-316-0246. I also got to paint my oldest son. He moved out, and I got to paint his room. But, folks, I know you're excited. I'm excited about today's show. We're talking, remember, at the beginning of the show, we always talk about portfolio management, financial planning. But really, we're kicking the financial planning towards the end, the last 20 minutes, because I have a friend of mine, Paul Whitten, great guy. He looks like The Rock. If you could only see him, he is built. He's ready to go. Makes me a little jealous of his DNA. But and then I have Anthony Biscuit. How you doing, my friend?
Good morning.
You doing all right?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Doing great. Doing great. What a great day.
I know. We're going to have great weather this weekend. I'm excited.
That's good. That's good. You going to go any baseball games?
I might on Sunday, but today, as soon as I am done here, it's movie day. I'm going to be in the movies from like 12:30 to maybe 9 o'clock tonight. I'm so excited.
Wow. Like, do you have a movie pass?
I do. So I pay for the monthly thing at the Regal where
Right.
you can just go as many times as you want for $21 a month, and I'm
Right.
like, look, it pays for itself in a time and a half. So.
Right. So I'm thankful you didn't say, nah, man, I'm just going to skip.
Yeah, so I've paid for one, and then the other two, they don't know that I'm going to be in, but no.
Hey, that's awesome, man. That's exciting.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I'm too cheap to do that. I just put in a theater at my house. So
Hey, I wish I had that.
All you need is some type of visual thing and a comfortable couch.
It is true. That's a good point.
You don't need anything.
That's a good point.
Grandiose but one thing I do have is a nice sound system.
Yeah, that's the next thing that's going.
When you
house.
hear the dripping behind you.
Oh yeah.
Or you're watching a movie about knights and you hear the hoof beats.
Oh yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It's immersive.
It is, and football games, but folks, I enjoy talking about life. But what I wanted to do is give you an update about, because I manage money two different ways: dynamic asset allocation and the QPM. Dynamic asset allocation, if you remember, is really geared towards people who want a pie. You look at your statement and you see stocks and bonds and cash. Well, what I like to do is manage your portfolio according to the economic but inflationary environment. Now, Biscuit, I'm putting you on the spot.
Oh no.
Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Have you seen gas go up?
Yeah.
It's a pain, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, who wants to fill up their?
I think from the news story that we had earlier this week. Just from week to week, it went up about 3 cents on average in the state of Virginia. Right. And the week before that, it was like 2 or 3 cents again.
Right.
So I think in a month, it'll probably have gone up close to 10 or 15 cents.
Have you ever heard of NVIDIA?
I have.
Did you know that there's something that has outperformed NVIDIA?
I did not know that.
Cocoa.
Well, would you look at that?
It's like up 250%, some ridiculous. I mean,
Yeah.
We're not talking about over 20 years. We're talking about like a year. It's been rocking and rolling.
Is there any idea as to what has caused just this giant jump?
I've wondered that. I just keep on forgetting to look it up.
Right.
So I don't know, but and the dynamic asset allocation, we have shifted. We still have some technology, but we've really shifted to an inflationary portfolio.
Right.
I almost said August. April was down. It's a down month. You never know what next Monday or Tuesday, but I expect April, when you look at your statement, it's going to be down. It looks like it was only a 6% drawdown, but it looks like the dynamic asset allocation, we'll know the figures into the next show, but we were able to change the portfolio because as the prices of things started going down, we shifted. And dramatically, middle of the month, we were in 20-30% cash. And so we really were able to change. And then the QPM, I've worked, 13, 14,000 hours on it, and it gives us the ability to try to make money in the up markets and down markets. And as of Friday, we were flat for the month. It's 80% stock and 20% bonds. And we've been short the long-term bond, and we've made money the entire month in being short that. But also, I would have liked the downturn that occurred in the month of April to last another 5 or 10%.
Right.
And the reason being is that, everybody needs a rest, and rather than a cat nap. That's what a 6%.
Yeah.
It's just a cat nap. And the QPM would have been able to make a little bit more money, but it's flat for the month, and it probably, depending on Monday or Tuesday earnings for Amazon come out, it won't really affect Tuesday because that's probably after hours. But hopefully we can gain 2 or 3 more percentage points and have some fun times there. But now, looking at things, that's how I manage portfolio. It's a little bit different. I'm very proactive, trying to help people achieve the purpose and plan for your life. If you want a portfolio review, which I know you do, give me a call, 434-316-0246, or just give me you can text me. That I get that all over the weekend. But here's some areas of concern that I have, and we have about 3 minutes left before we talk to Paul. But the first thing is inflation. There were some inflation markers that came out this week that came out hot, and that was part of the reason on Thursday why the entire market fell out of the bed, besides Meta or Facebook. But I'm concerned about inflation, and we're going to do a deeper dive into that because it's just crazy that it's going to be higher for longer and how it's affecting people. And, the sad part of it is the elites, that I like to call them, that are in Washington or in the federal government or the state government, the elites that make $200,000-$300,000 of our taxpayer money, it doesn't affect them. Before the show, Paul and I were talking about a McDonald's meal being $17 for a person.
Yeah.
What the heck, man?
That's insane.
It is insane. And it doesn't affect someone making $300,000 a year.
No, but the person making $25,000, $30,000, even $40,000 a year, that's a massive effect.
Or $50,000 or $100,000. Imagine making $100,000 a year and you have 3 teenagers.
Oh, you're paying $100 at a McDonald's trip, that's for sure.
Exactly. And, the dollar menu is gone.
Yeah, well, because everything at this point is $1.50 or $2. I thought I saw, you used to be able to get a McDouble for $1.50, and they're like $4.
Right. And McDonald's is not a great place to invest because, Five Guys and McDonald's are about the same cost. Where are you going to do? Five Guys, you're going to go to McDonald's. I'm going to go to Five Guys every time.
Yeah.
Even I took my wife out for her birthday to, what's that place? Olive Garden.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't much more than a McDonald's meal.
Which is crazy.
Where would you rather go?
Olive Garden.
Exactly.
Every day of the week.
Exactly.
Every day of the week.
Every day of the week. Forget McDonald's. But then the other item is jobs. Unemployment, full-time work is going down, and people are getting a lot of part-time work, which is not a good thing. And then finally, taxes. We're going to talk about this in the next month. But Joe Biden, he came out with a proposal, and I printed it directly from the Treasury, that he wants to raise the capital gains rate in 2025 to 44%. Then he wants to have a tax on unrealized gains. And the reason he wants to do it is because white people, he says, have a disproportionate asset base. And they list it as African Americans and Hispanics have less, so they want to basically discriminate and have a higher tax rate. But the problem I have is they said, I think it was only 39%, if I could be wrong, folks, I'll correct it next month, of African Americans, or even 28% own stocks. But the problem is every African American who has a retirement plan has stocks. It's got to be higher than that.
Right.
But you can make stats say anything you want. So taxes are going to be a big thing. And before we go to Paul, Anthony, you know who the last president was that had a 44% capital gains rate? Sad, I didn't give him any.
Is it my
notes.
lifetime? Is it within my lifetime?
How
Which is
old are you?
1998.
You know,
So
it's not in your
okay,
lifetime.
so pre-me.
Yeah.
I mean, the first person I go to is Reagan,
Oh no.
but I think it's probably pre-Reagan.
It was this guy who's a peanut farmer. He was a good Sunday school teacher.
Oh, come on, Disket.
Who is it?
Jimmy Carter.
Oh, I'm dumb. I almost said Jimmy Carter too. I was like, it's either Reagan or Jimmy Carter. Which one is it? Because they're back to back.
Right.
It's one of them.
Right.
You know,
Right.
look, a broken clock is right twice a day,
Yeah.
and that just wasn't my time.
Exactly.
Just
hey,
wasn't
no,
my time.
No, it's all good. You know, I like to, you know, that way it's a little bit of suspense for the people.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's good, Anthony. I appreciate it. So let's bring in Paul. Folks, you know, we're talking about estate planning, and we've talked about estate planning from your vehicle insurance to your homeowner's insurance. I've tried to cover every aspect because you are trying to develop your estate plan when you turn 18 of what you save, what you buy, and how you grow it, and then how you transfer it to whoever you want to give it to, whether it's a charity, whether it's your cat, whether it's your uncle, your aunt, your mama, your daddy, or your son, your daughter, whoever it is. If that's the whole process, and we've tried to cover that. Last week, we had the Law Dog. We talked about how to do the documents and things such as that. But today, we're talking about after the documents are done, what you need to do. And we're talking about Paul Whitten from Whitten Funeral Homes. Paul, thank you for being here.
Good morning. It's an honor to be here.
Hey, I appreciate it. So people are like, who is Paul Whitten? People probably know, but tell them who you are.
Okay, I am president of Whitten Funeral Home. I've been there for my entire working life.
Mm-hmm.
Started in 1985 when I was 17.
Hmm.
So, and this is all I've ever wanted to do. I love what I do with a passion. When you hear people say I'm living the dream, I'm doing it.
Well, that's awesome.
This is all I've ever wanted to do. So I'm a third generation funeral director. My grandfather started the business, and yeah, we're doing well.
Hey, that's good. Now, I don't know if you knew this. I think I've told you this. My family up in New York actually owns a funeral home. And it's a little bit different now. They lived upstairs and had everything downstairs. And so, folks, when I talk about death and things like that, I'm a little cold-hearted. It's just part of life. You know, when I was a little baby, I would, in the embalming room, I'd crawl into the embalming room.
That's not good.
You know, it's not. Well, this is back in 1971.
Yeah.
I'm an old guy.
No, I got you.
You know, they did things a little differently back then.
Absolutely.
You know, I saw my grandfather, you know, murdered, you know, when I was 4 or 5. So death is just part of life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can talk about it. It's like I eat my oatmeal. So I don't mean to be cold, hard, callous. It's just a fact of life. And the sooner we embrace that, the sooner we can actually have peace. And so Paul, the reason I had you here is really to encourage people to do pre-planning.
Mm-hmm.
What does that look like?
Well, in my opinion, pre-planning is something that everybody should consider and do some level of investigation, whether it's sitting down with one of us and just asking questions. Unfortunately, there's a number of people that avoid end-of-life decision discussion. And I tell people when I speak to groups, you know, for all of those who have thought, yeah, I really ought to do this, I really ought to consider, you know, making a plan of some level, but put it off and put it off and put it off, I tell people, congratulations, you're normal.
Right.
Because it's the single easiest topic to avoid. But it's a topic that all of us are going to face. It's not if we die, it's when we die.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as we spoke earlier, people plan every day, and you do this every day for people, to plan for those events that might happen. And,
right.
You know, plan for retirement, plan for weddings, plan for vacations and things of this nature. But the one thing that is inevitable that we all have in common is we're all going to die. And so it just simply makes sense for people to go ahead and put a plan in place, if for no other reason, for the emotional advantage of saving your family from having to do that at the single worst time, which is immediately following the death of a loved one. And then there's there's also a lot of financial benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Locks in the cost, protects in the event that the individual has to go through a Medicaid spend down if they don't have long-term care insurance. You can set that money aside so that it's protected to be used for those end-of-life services.
Exactly. And Paul, I've attended, sadly, services at your facilities,
Mm-hmm.
and you guys do a great job. And I appreciate the ministry that you do to people. It's a really good service. You make it, the hard stuff, you make it easier. And so I appreciate what you do.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. It is a business just like others, but I am blessed to have a team of people that truly look at this as a ministry.
Right.
In order to be good at what we do, you truly have to have a servant's heart. You have to desire to serve others, and my staff does.
Yeah, you guys do a great job, and not only I consider you a friend, but also the service that you provide our community is very highly valuable, and we really appreciate it. So thank you. Now, when it comes to planning, what do you mean by planning? You did a great soliloquy about it, but let's get into the nuts and bolts of it. What are some of the parts? I know some of the parts because
Right.
Planning is easy for me.
Yeah.
I've done it for clients. I've done it when my mom passed away. It's easy. And so, but I want what are the steps? What needs to be decided in the planning?
So what I found is there are some people that if you ask them, what do you think your funeral would look like? What is it that you want? Do you want burial or cremation? They can answer all those questions.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I want.
Mm-hmm.
This is exactly how I want it done. And, then the next question is, do you have it documented? Does your family know this?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times that answer is, well, no, but I know, so then that's when we encourage, let's get your plan in place. Other people have no idea because they don't know anything about, they've never experienced having to make funeral arrangements. They don't know what the options are, and there are so many options. So the first thing that I get people to think of is, final disposition, burial or cremation.
Mm-hmm. There is no hefty cinch sack.
No hefty cinch sack in the ditch up front.
Yeah, because a lot pretty much those are the two final disposition options, burial and cremation. One day we might be able to jettison you off into space, but right now, other than burial at sea, those are the two options. So in Virginia, do they allow the burial pods and put it like a cherry tree, oak tree over you? Sorry to ask you this. I just thought of it.
Yeah,
I saw it in California.
Well, let's not hold that against
fruits
us.
And nuts.
So I just saw an ad for one of those tree pod things. I'm not sure we can do it in Virginia or not. There may be some green cemeteries where you can do it.
Sorry to ask you. I just
I'm just not sure. I've really never had a request for it.
Yeah. I got so many things in my head. I'd just be quiet. My wife would say, "Good, Allan."
I do have a living urn so that you can take your ashes, and it comes with a tree. It comes with a pod that you put the ashes in, and the root ball of the tree grows around the
that's
ashes.
pretty cool.
So yeah, that's a product we sell.
That's pretty.
It is pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah, you go online, pick the tree based on your.
I like a giant redwood.
Well, you see, you're in Lynchburg, so redwood's not an option.
That'd be so funny.
Yeah.
Look at Daddy, that 300-foot tree. Sorry, I do laugh at all this stuff, so
yeah.
I apologize. Okay.
So that's the biggest decision.
Okay.
You want burial or cremation.
What's the next? What else is decided?
So then, once that decision's made, then we talk about what type of service. Do you want a traditional service? Are you active in your church? Do you want your pastor to speak? Do you want certain scripture, certain music?
Mm-hmm.
Some people may want something more contemporary, what we now refer to as a celebration of life, ranging from a traditional funeral, but incorporating more parts about the person themselves. Really celebrating what they've accomplished in their life things of that nature, playing their favorite songs, perhaps having a catered reception with their favorite foods, those types of things. And so we strongly encourage people to think about all those things, and no cookie cutter services at Whitten.
That's pretty
We want to
awesome.
make everything, to satisfy the values and needs of that family.
And realistically, the only way that you're going to have it designed exactly the way you want to is actually plan it out.
Right. And so people think, well, how do I get started with that? Well, we've got a book for it. It's called a personal planning
Yeah,
guide.
if you don't mind.
Yeah, let me hold it up so everyone can see
Yeah,
it.
see, everybody, isn't that a pretty book?
But it starts
Exactly, Dignity Memorial Personal Planning Guide. And what's
Yep.
interesting is I have one of these that I've gotten from one of your staff,
Mm-hmm.
and the one for the military,
Yes, Veterans Planning Guide.
Veterans Planning Guide.
Yep.
Yeah, this is
So
a
it
great-
starts with basic stuff, vital statistics. This
Mhm.
is information we have to complete a death certificate, things of that nature. And then it goes on to, and this is where it's helpful if you don't know where to get started, but it's got, do you want to be buried or cremated? You check the box. Would you like your service at the funeral home, a church, graveside, an event center, whatever, the country club? And it just forces you to think about all these different options, and you just kind of put the checks in there.
I'm going through here if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I'm a guy, so I think about guys. How many guys out there want to be buried in a certain clothes?
Mm-hmm.
But what ends up happening is the guy dies, and then whoever's left over, the wife or the kids are like, nah, we need to put daddy in a 3-piece suit. And he never was in a 3-piece suit except for 2 weddings.
Right.
And so if you want that, you can get that granular,
Mm-hmm.
that specific about that.
Yeah.
And so hope
And,
you don't
and
mind
it's
me-
got pages on there,
Mhm.
people to notify, because, the parents may think, well,
Mhm.
when something happens to me, I need to make sure my kids notify this person who lives in Idaho
right.
that they might not think about because we went to school together, whatever. Organizations. There's a place in there if you have a will.
Mm-hmm.
Where's it located? What's the date of the most recent will? Because as you know, there's only one valid will, and that's the original.
Right.
And sometimes you don't know, kids may have copies, but that's not going to do them any good. So you got to know where the original one. It's got a place for,
Wow.
if you're a veteran.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where's your DD 214?
That's not
Because
I
we
see it.
need that to apply for certain benefits for veterans.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's got a whole section to list all of your checking accounts, savings accounts, life insurance policies.
Mm-hmm.
And we tell people, go ahead and fill this out. It's none of our business. We don't want the book back. And it's not your kid's business today, but fill it out and show them the book and say, look, if something happens to me, look for this book. All your questions are answered.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to guess.
Right.
Did I get all Dad's credit cards? Did he have any more bank accounts?
Right.
Everything is there so that when you go to settle things, you've covered everything.
That's awesome. And I really enjoy this. And you folks have done a great service in providing that.
Mm-hmm. And they're free. They're free for anybody that wants them. We've got hundreds and hundreds of them. You just have to call one of our offices, and we'll be glad to hook you up.
We'll give the fine listeners, what's your phone number?
So the main number is 239-0331. You can go to our website, whittenfuneralhome.com, and then select either one of our locations, the one in Madison Heights or Timberlake Road, to go into that location site. But, 239-0331 will get you to where you need to go.
Hey, that's awesome. And folks, seriously, this book to me is invaluable. My wife, full disclosure, I haven't done it yet, but that's on our plan this year to do that. And not only that, but they fill out the book. Now, there are things that cost money.
Yes.
And that's okay. Now you have one of two choices, folks. Remember, I'm a little cold-hearted, so I apologize in advance. At the death, which means person is dead, and the loved ones have to go down there and do all this.
Right.
And that's hard. That's hard. And here's what I find is normally we men from an actuarial standpoint die first. What ends up happening is the wife is there, and she doesn't want to go cheap. She wants to do the best-looking mahogany, all this stuff. And sometimes the husband was happy with just a pine box. to go cheaper. And so it really enables you as the loved one who goes on before us to really set things in order.
Well, what that's called emotional spending.
It is.
And
I like that.
We do see that.
So you're smooth. I'm not.
We do see that, but I always take into consideration, what is an appropriate budget, because there's some families that simply have no business selecting the best mahogany casket.
Exactly.
So you try to alter their decisions to doing something that they can afford, because the last thing we want to do is add yet another burden to them.
Exactly.
So if I'm in the business of solving problems, I certainly don't want to add more.
Right. And that's such a good service. I appreciate that, Paul. Now, what happens, they do the book. Mm-hmm. Is there a way that they can pay for the services in advance?
Absolutely. So the book is something that you take home. It's a good first start. It gets the thought process going. And then, if nothing else, you've made some decisions by filling out the book, or it generates questions. And then we recommend to schedule an appointment with one of the professional funeral directors, and there's no cost, no obligation. If we sit down at a table with a family and meet for 2 hours just to answer questions, there's no cost or obligation for that. Again, a very educational session for families to get them, thinking about exactly what they want. But once they've decided, then we strongly encourage for them to get a plan in place. And you can do a complete unfunded prearrangement. So let's say you have gobs of life insurance and you just think, I've got more life insurance than my kids will ever spend. They can just take it out of that. That's fine. You can do that. The other alternative, which most people do, is they go ahead and fund their arrangements. And that's where, they can make payments, no interest, no finance charge, no nothing. And beginning day one, it locks in those prices. Mm-hmm. And so, and then once it's paid for, it's paid for. Mm-hmm. And so that's a huge benefit for most.
Yeah, and I wish I was more prepared, but I'm just, questions come to me.
Yeah.
As do you remember what the average funeral cost in 2020 was?
Oh gosh.
See, I do that to people.
Yeah, and so that question is hard to answer. You hear these advertisements from AARP, and they'll say the average funeral costs $7,500. Well, no, it doesn't. So my average, looking at all my business, and about 50% of it is cremation, is about $7,500. Mm-hmm. But let's talk about funerals, where you're talking about a traditional service, casket, vault, not even including cemetery expenses.
Right.
So that average is going to be higher.
Okay.
More between 10 and 15,000.
Okay.
Your cremation service averages are going to be less, which brings your median average to about 7,500.
Okay. So is that 7,500 now or 7,500 in 2020? Sorry, I'm a math guy.
Yeah, and I'm not.
Sorry about that.
So,
see, folks, so if you want to come on here, I'm going to ask you plenty of questions that I did not prepare you for. So sorry, Paul.
That's okay. Yeah, funerals have gone up, 5% every year, maybe.
Yeah, so the reason I say that, Paul, is, folks, I want you to call Paul this week. And I want you to get this done. I want you to get the book done, and I want you to start the pre-planning done. Because can they do it a monthly payment, or can they do it a lump sum?
Lump sum, monthly.
See, folks, because here's my concern. I only got 30 seconds to go. Is if it goes up 5% a year, that means it's gone up about 18% since 2020. No, that's 4 years. It's probably about 23, 24%. So it's going to be more expensive down the road. Give him a call. What's that number again?
239-0331.
All right, and I'm Allan Molina. Go to my website, servuscm.com, 434-316-0246. Give me a call, and I can help you get through the process. Hope you have a blessed weekend.
Returns for illustrative purpose. This is not a suggestion to buy, sell, or use a platform. Only will a suggestion occur after a meeting to determine goals, risk tolerance, and time horizons. Investments involve risks and no guarantee of future results.